We got to do some prayers. I don't think Joe Kent, Joe Kurtz. I'm the errand boy. Are you the errand boy, more? Joe Kent went Colonel Kurtz on us. You're an errand boy, Mar. So this is what I believe happened. I believe he's disabled. I really do. And that whole thing with his wife, and he's combat. Been in combat, so many combat tours, and it probably shattered something inside. Well, I don't think he's chargeable. What happened is I think the deep state took advantage of whatever was going on in his mind, and they'll do that. Right. And again, I think after his wife passed, it would probably been a good time for him to retire. Maybe even disability. I don't know. Maybe he still had a couple of good years left. I don't know. He's just not going to be. Again, I left the Marshal Service because of what they did to me, and they wouldn't stop. Like if they stopped, I knew I could do my job. Right. But again, if they're not going to stop, there's no way to do your job. I mean, it's a spycraft, professional spycraft. Yeah, it should have landed him in prison. Like I said, I should have been paid millions, $6 million or something. And like the guy in Detroit that sued the mayor, same kind of weird thing going on. The cop that sued the mayor. No, weird thing for me is, so when they killed John, and again they killed him, whether it was psychological or physical. I was trying to figure some things out, and I was involved in some high threat thing with the FBI, and I had to go to U.S. Attorney's office a bunch of times to coordinate stuff. So I went to the U.S. Attorney's office, and I was trying to talk to the assistant U.S. attorney. And when I got in there, Comey was in there. Like I didn't know it was Comey. He was the DAG. I didn't realize Comey was the DAG back then. Of course, the DAG visited Baltimore to find out what the hell was going on in the Luna thing. Right. So even like when Comey was like doing me and stuff, I didn't know that he was the DAG. Well, I couldn't go. Long story short, I couldn't go see Frank. I guess his name was something. I couldn't go see him because Comey was there. See, and maybe that makes sense. Comey getting in the way. No, I think Joe Kent went Kurtz, and actually, I think he could sue you if he looks back. I'm sure it's not a case that most people go into, but right. Now he should have been. Even this administration, you probably should have just told him to move on. Well, anybody can look at his wife's death and figure it out. Right? We're not gonna, you don't take somebody that's got. I mean, you might want to investigate the whole thing to figure out. There's a part of all this, like investigations and intelligence, that you just do it to figure it out. And I was a big hawk of that. I was one of the people that said that we need to do that. You need to figure out, like, even if you don't charge them, you have to figure out what the hell the deep state's doing so you can counter it. Right? You can't just say, oh, we allow it because of A, B, or C. So again, obviously you're investigating Tucker Carlson, and he knows it. He just didn't know what it was. Or maybe he didn't want to say what it was. But throw Carlson in prison. No, I don't have an opinion there. But as far as unless you find like deep state bullshit, like I mean, they're going after people. Yeah, you just probably with Kent, you should, I don't know what his future is and what he did, what his savings are and all that. I imagine he's a wealthy guy, right? So unless you find, something, I mean, there's no reason to prosecute the leaks, right? But again, he's going to have to be found unsuitable. Right? They're going to have to, manipulate his clearances and all of that. But I think it's just like a Colonel Kurt situation. It's gone rogue. Well, you can't say that stuff during the war. You can't. I mean, because you're vested in that process. You benefited from people not going rogue. Right? It's not wrong. It's not an Israel created war. His wife didn't die in an Israel created war. Right. Although they have done some things that are worth, negative statements. That wasn't one of them. Because I was there at the basis of the ISIL. I'm yelling at him like, these people are dying. They fought with us. Where's the Air Force at least? We could have had troops in there and we could have killed the ISIS off in probably back then, like a month. Right. Completely gone. They were nobody. Nobody even really thought much of them. Right. You allowed them to take over and then they became big. Oh, they could move across the desert. We put the Air Force in there. Right. They'd be like these people, but they don't have, they don't have the Iranian protection system, the tunnels and all that. Right. So they would have been done. Now, I don't know if they blocked my stuff, but I was yelling. It's just, I even did something with an airborne mouse. I remember it was funny. I can't find it. Maybe I'll see if I can find it. It's on like Facebook or something. No, I was pretty mad. These people fought with us. You didn't give them even air support. Right. I'd have had the sorties in there right away. It'd have been like, what's it called? What do they call it? What's the killing, the highway to death or something? You'd have been the highway of death. That's what it'd have been. They'd have been done. And then, of course, the Iraqis would have been more courageous in their fighting. When you don't have air support, it's kind of scary. So I'll be back in a second with the prayers. I'm a little late, but we're fine.